Welcome to the village. All right, today I have with me a friend and guest, Steve Gomula, who is a retired first responder. Thanks so much for taking the time out to be here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, with your busy dad life, we have Sadie over in the living room with us, and
my personal assistant.
Yes, being very patient. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's great to have you here. I know we were talking about a little bit about some of your history in your life with some of your experiences with your mental health concerns and experiences, even some PTSD,
Yes.
and some of the things that kind of happened with your issues with PTSD. So
Yes.
I appreciate you being able to share with us.
An open book.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to just tell me some of the, the experiences you had. There's talk about, like, people joke about PTSD, and like everyone says, oh, I have PTSD and I have OCD, and we make light of these things, but really it's not to be really made light of it.
I like to say that everyone has PTSD. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone in combat or in first responder world. Someone's dog dies, that's traumatic. Someone's cat dies, that's traumatic. It's not devastating to everybody, but to that one person. So, but then you get into the industry that I was in, and veterans and that type of thing, it gets a little different.
Yeah, no, it is true. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, one thing that's traumatizing to one person may not traumatize another person, but everyone has their own experience of what trauma is. So, yeah, like you said, with the line you've been in, veteran, former police officer, and emergency medical technician, you've seen a lot of things that a lot of us couldn't handle at all.
There's different statistics out there about it's some of it is in a meme form, but it's the average person sees one or two traumatic incidents in their life when a EMT or a police officer sees thousands.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, it's not that my PTSD is any different than yours or Sadie's or anybody else's. It's different.
So is that really the experiences you had are mainly work related, or?
Yes, I had a great childhood growing up. My parents got divorced when I was 5, but I don't remember them being together. My dad got remarried. I got a bonus family. Okay. So I had a great childhood growing up, a lot of family.
Yeah.
But mine was all work related.
It's a great way to look at it. A lot of people look at divorce as such a horrible thing, or a horrible thing to go through with your parents, and you're like, oh, well, that was a great childhood. And
it helped that my parents got along once they got divorced.
Yeah.
They chose to get along for me, and it helped me in the long run. And the same token, my ex and I aren't together. Sadie and I, we get along. My ex and I get along great for her. So it's the same kind of thing,
Yeah. No. Think of the kids and make it better for. Yeah. Absolutely. Exactly. So did you start to realize you had PTSD, or did someone diagnose you, or how did that end up coming about?
So I was working I've done a lot. I was a police officer for a while, then I was an EMT for 17 years. At the time, I was working in the ER at St. Mary's. I was a secretary on the desk. And now this is after, I had done probably at this point, about 15 years of EMS. So on the desk, I just wanted to work on the desk and not have to do too much, be out in the weather elements and that type of thing. So that's why I went to work at St. Mary's. But one night it wasn't a particularly busy night, but by ER standards, but the EMS radio was going off. We'd had patients coming in and out from triage. I worked overnight. So, and it was a busy night, I guess, but not terribly busy. And I'm sitting at the desk, and I had this feeling where everything was just closing in around me. Like my head was my world was coming into this. And the charge nurse, Ian, was sitting next to me, and he looked at me and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Oh, why don't you go take a walk?" He saw something in my face, and I went outside and took a deep breath, and I look back now, and that was a panic attack. First one I had ever had. speaking to a few friends, they put me in touch with a therapist I see now, Dr. Andrew Berry. He specializes in veterans and first responders,
Okay.
and he diagnosed me with PTSD and started going down that path.
Okay.
Therapy.
And when was that? Is that what year?
That was probably 2019, 2020,
Okay.
give or take.
And how long do you think you'd been having like symptoms like that?
Again, looking back, because I've had a lot of time to realize earlier that year. So this was probably December, January. In November, I had taken a trip to Alabama. As I mentioned, I'm a veteran. So one of my friends that I served in the Army with was getting married, and I was in the wedding. So my girlfriend and I, at the time, we drove down. She didn't like to fly, so we drove. We got as far as New Jersey, and it was a traffic jam. Whatever, traffic's not a big deal.
Especially in Jersey.
Exactly. But I look on the other side, and there's no traffic. So it tells me there's an accident. I knew what was going on, and then I hear sirens, and on the median on this side, a couple of a fire engine and an ambulance, I think, went down, and I got this weird little feeling.
Yeah.
Whatever. And we got a little closer, and I could see the accident ahead, and they had it covered with a tarp. That usually means there was a fatality involved.
Okay.
And that's probably when I started my spiral. I didn't know what it was. I just didn't feel right. That's all I knew. And my girlfriend didn't really understand. She didn't work in the business. So I didn't say anything. Went down to Alabama. Looking back, I apologize to my friend all the time. I was like, sorry, I wasn't the most fun of your wedding. But that whole weekend was just terrible. It was a beautiful wedding venue, beautiful bride and groom. I was in the wedding, but I just mentally.
The whole weekend, you were just,
So we drove back. Drive back wasn't as bad, but I got home, and then about a week or so later, that's when I got that in the ER, where it kind of collapsed on me, and then a few weeks later is when I had an incident where I almost killed myself. My daughter's mom and I had broken up, and we'd had an argument about something trivial. It wasn't even a big deal. It wasn't even an argument. It was a conversation about something, and it was one thing that kind of tipped me over the edge, and I went to a cemetery where my grandfather's buried, where I go to this day just to kind of like a park for me. And I had a shotgun with me, and I almost did it.
Wow.
I'm not religious really, but I'm kind of spiritual. And I asked my grandfather, I said, so do I do it or I don't? And I can't, to this day, I can't explain it, but I had this split-second vision, someone pulling up, and I think it was one of my friends who was an officer, but it was me. I was in that car, and I pulled up, and I saw myself sitting there, and I had already done it in my vision. And I snapped out of it, and whatever it was gone out of my head, the bad stuff. And then just before that, I texted a picture of the bullet to my friend, firefighter in Schenectady County, and she called APD and my ex, Lauren, Sadie's mom, and Lauren came to get me and brought me to St. Mary's, and then I spent the weekend there and started the dance, so to speak.
The therapist and
I got in trouble. The weapon that I had was legally owned by me, but I had an illegal AR-15 at my house that had been in a closet, locked up in a box I hadn't seen in years. But one of the troopers came in and asked if I had anything at the house, and I said yes. And off the books they are, and they got it. And I got in trouble for that. So actually today I got a call that I'm no longer on probation.
Oh, good. So you were celebrating by talking about it.
So that was another journey that I had to go on, legal stuff.
No. Yeah, but that feeling that you had, it was the PTSD that led to those feelings of, was it severe anxiety, or how are you feeling at that moment?
I can't even explain it really. It's just, I just felt like the world was closing in on me, and I didn't know what it was, and I couldn't really, and again, I look back and I look back and it was a panic attack because I was having, some difficulty breathing and the tunnel vision and all that kind of stuff. When I went outside and got some air, I felt a little better, and then I came back in, and
So do you think that some of the, we have a lot of kids, teenagers who feel that way, like the world is closing in on them, and we have like attempts from teenagers, whether it's pills or
Any
whatever
number
they
of different
have.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So can you describe a little bit of? I mean, you were mature about it. It's almost like, I don't know, you did something for yourself. These teenagers, they don't have this awareness or this, I don't know, this mental maturity. What would you suggest for them?
It's hard because everybody says, "Oh, if you need anything, reach out." That's
Right.
easier said than done.
Yeah.
I could, at any moment, have reached out to about 100 different people and said, "Hey, I'm having problems," and they would have come to me. But I didn't. In my mind, I didn't want to bother someone. If you and I were friends and I'm struggling, and I said, "Hey," I could call you up and say, "Hey, I need some help." But in my mind, you have enough problems going on. Whether it's my friend, you have this going on, you have that going. You don't need my nonsense.
Hmm.
When in actuality, they wanted to hear about my nonsense.
Right.
When it comes to someone younger, like you were mentioning, teenagers and even younger, unfortunately, it's hard. I don't even know how I preach to people. Don't reach out. Reach out to people. If you see someone
Yeah.
struggling, reach out to them because they
Yeah.
can't reach out to you. And if there's a way to get it, if I were to do it, if I were to speak to kids younger, in high school, middle school, and that type of thing, I would try and get groups of people to watch each other. That's the way I try to preach in EMS is watch out for each other, check on each other, make it weird.
Yeah. Make it weird.
I say that all the time. Make it weird.
Well, I love that. Yeah.
Are you okay? You all right? Do you need anything? And I'm not a wallflower. I was always the funny guy. I'm still am. I want everybody around me to be happy. I want everyone around me to be in a good mood. And I was like that in every job I've ever been in. Nobody thinks that guy needs help.
Right. It's a lot of times it is that person who is friendly, outgoing, seems like, oh, they're fine, who's actually struggling, and you have no idea about it. And you're so right. Like, everyone says, like, oh, if you need anything, let me know. But let's be more specific with each other. Like,
Exactly.
if you need, I don't know, someone to talk to, call me, text me, or like you said, let's make it weird with each other. Let's reach out and say, hey.
Especially with close friends, because when you're with friends that you have, or whether it's a coworker or someone you work with regularly, you get to know what someone is like.
Yeah.
You can tell when someone's off. Make it weird. And when I say make it weird, it's like be like a mother, check on people, be an annoying mother and check on everyone. And then hopefully that turns around and they're checking on you as well. And if everyone's checking on each other, then maybe that one person who's struggling won't fall through the cracks.
And sometimes the person that's struggling, like you said, either it seems like everything's going well for them, everything's great in their life, or they seem like extra irritable or annoying, and like it's in an annoying way. So you think you want to stay away from that person, but maybe that's the person who actually needs help.
And for me, I was working in EMS where we work 24-hour shifts, a lot of times a lot longer than 24-hour shifts. Most of those were without sleep. So am I irritable because I'm tired? Am I irritable because I just went to that bad call? Are you irritable because you're just a jerk? There's so many different personalities in any friend group. But when you get into this kind of industry, it's hard to tell. So that's why you just have to check on everybody has to check on each other and almost make it like you see police departments and things that roll calls, even if as part of a roll call or as part of a shift change, you talk, how's everybody doing? What did you see last night? That kind of thing. And the same thing could be, in schools, if there's some way to do that, whether it's in homeroom, kids aren't going to want to, oh, I saw this last night. But if you can somehow get through to these kids that they can find someone they trust, whether it's a counselor or a teacher or a physician, they can go to them, but just make it weird.
Yeah, exactly. We do have to genuinely check on people. During the time when you were diagnosed, did they go through the 4 main criteria with PTSD, and the different symptom categories, like there's avoidance and then the hypervigilance, and there's different categories within that. Okay.
I'm working on the hypervigilance part.
Okay.
You know, and EMS and police work and everything. You know, you're told, people say don't, you know, face the door so you can see any threats.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah.
You know, even if I'm a police officer, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's just silly. You know, when you're working, it's one thing, but when you're off duty and you're with your family and your wife or your girlfriend knows, oh, don't, you know, let dad face the door.
Yeah.
I try to get away from that now because I'm not in that life anymore, and that threat isn't coming for me.
Yeah.
You know, you can't plan for every contingency, but for the most part, just eat dinner, and that's what I'm trying to do, is ground myself a little bit more. The further I get away from the, you know, the swirl, you know, the things that were causing the stress, the triggers, I guess, so to speak. The further I get away from those, the more I start thinking about getting away from those behaviors.
Like not letting them rule what you do.
And they did. They really did. I mean, it would, you know, you sit down and you're looking around a restaurant, just a restaurant. Basically, I could be at a restaurant with Sadie, and you're looking around. Okay, who's a threat?
Yeah.
You know, there's a threat. Call 911.
Right.
I don't need to be there.
You're not at work. You're not. Yeah.
Exactly. So you have to find a way to turn that switch off. When you're at work, it's a little different, especially when you're in uniform. Whether it's a Target or what have you, but you have to find a way to turn that off. And I think that all starts with the job and the people you're with. And again, checking on each other and, you know, just recognizing like, hey, I saw you doing this, everything okay, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and people hopefully are receptive. I think that people do get defensive because it is a stigma. Like, are you calling me weak? Are you calling me, you know, crazy? Or like,
I hate the word stigma.
Yeah.
So I found that. So when I had my incident, I was also serving at the time on the Common Council here in Amsterdam. I was an alderman. So everything that happened to me got intensified because it was in the paper every day. Alderman.
Yeah.
So, and I got arrested because of it. So every single day it was literally in social media and in the paper and all of that kind of thing. So that was more difficult. Not saying my situation's any better or worse than anyone else's, but for me, it made it more difficult to get past. So, and then as part of my arrest, I was sentenced to mental health treatment court here in Montgomery County. So I did that for a year. I participated in that, and then I graduated, and then as I mentioned, just recently been released from probation. But part of mental health court is I had to see my therapist, and we would have to submit writing assignments about different topics. And that alone, the writing that I did, helped me more than anything.
Okay.
Obviously, therapy helped as well, but
was the writing was that part of the exposure therapy they talk about, or was that just like
basically for mental health, for treatment court? We kind of ran along the guidelines with drug court, but just I was the only one in the mental health portion of it, so I had to follow all their rules. But it's a deep dive into yourself. You know, the topics they gave us they wanted to see how we think and how we would work through different problems, and I think that helped me a lot with processing everything, because I had to process everything publicly, whereas everybody else, you know, you have an incident where you almost commit suicide and you're just go to the hospital and you're home with your family. But I'm in the paper, I'm in the public eye, so then that's when I went public with everything that happened with me, and hopefully to be able to hopefully help other folks. Well,
it was a good excuse to be able to do that and help people.
Exactly, because now I just, instead of helping out an ambulance, I'm helping this way.
Yeah. There's always some way to help.
Yes.
And it's great that you're not trying to sweep under the rug. You're talking about it and letting people know. And because there's so many people that probably do struggle with something along those lines that don't even know it. They don't realize it.
We were talking earlier before we went on camera here, and as I said, I'm pretty public on social media about things, and I put some writing samples up there, and one or two people every week reach out to me. You can tell they're sniffing for help.
Yeah.
They're asking. I tell them I'm not an expert, but tell them how I dealt with things, and I try limited resources I have, I can put them in touch with some people that at least get some help.
Yeah.
But
I'll get those resources from you off camera and like put them on my website and stuff. So people.
Yeah, definitely. And so they reach out to me for help, and a lot of them is people I don't even know. Just friends of friends, and they tell people, hey, reach out to Steve. He's been through this, and not to toot my own horn, but I think I've helped a few people.
I'm sure you have. Like talking about things and just being open, sharing your experience so people know. 'Cause like I said, I think the biggest challenge is not knowing that this is what you're going through. There might be people that just feel like they're going crazy, or they, they're just not well, or they don't know what's happening.
For me, I just snapped. Like you hear people snapping. I did. It like something just snapped in me, and it snapped me back out as well. But it was, and looking back, it was a steady, things that I've been through within that 20-year period before I left EMS. I relationship issues. I was, infidelity. I cheated. A lot of textbook PTSD things. I wasn't addicted to anything. I didn't get it, but I was addicted to work. I would just work 100 hours a week.
Oh.
Just it kept me at work, and I was numb, and I didn't have to do it.
Right.
And then, the cheating and that type of thing. And then I was married once, and I got divorced, and then Sadie's mom and I, we didn't make it either. So it's, these are things that I did myself with PTSD, kind of clouded the decision making and that kind of thing. So.
I mean, you have a condition, and it's like a battle, it's a struggle, and like you said, it's not an excuse per se, but it has negative impacts on our lives, and that's why it's great that you got help, that you're getting help. And do you feel better now?
I'm thinking clearly for the first time in 20 years.
Wow.
I was put on medication. I didn't need a lot, high doses of anything, but just a little bump here and there, and it helped clear the fog. And I in therapy, I talked how before I was on meds and everything, that all the bad things, I say demons or whatever, was always squirreling, the things that were squishing in my head. Now there's like a force field around me.
Right.
And the demons are there. And for a long time, it took me, I'm like, okay, when are they coming? When's the bad stuff coming?
Yeah.
And now that they're not here, when things are coming and I can relax, I can keep those things at bay, because I've learned to slow down. I've learned to think, and I have that clarity now that I never really had. I realized it.
I think it is important, like you said, you had like a little bit of medication just to help with things, but they say the gold standard is the therapy, like the behavioral therapy, the cognitive therapy.
The therapy definitely saved my life.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Doc Barry, as I mentioned, he specializes in first responders, but if it weren't for him and getting everything out and getting to the root of a lot of my problems, that I wouldn't be here for Sadie and my other kids.
Yeah, be here for her.
Exactly.
Sure, she's a happy little girl. You want to keep it that way.
Exactly.
People when they're not sure if they think they have symptoms or they feel similar, like I think there's the 4 categories. I do need like reminders, because I know there's the intrusive thoughts or like nightmares, things like that, avoiding situations, 2 negative alterations in mood, and then 2 symptoms of arousal and like hyperreactivity. So that's the symptoms that
I would have. I mean, right after everything happened, I was afraid to leave the house. I'm an alderman. Everything's in the paper. I'm crazy, and I would go into a grocery store, have my earbuds in and my hat pulled down over my head, and I thought that everybody in that store was looking at me. Oh, there he is. Right. Not a single person was.
Yeah.
But to me, in my mind, that's what and I had to work through that with therapy, and that was, once I got past that, it helped me grow, and it helped me heal a lot more once I realized that the politics was glad I got it out of my system, but
Yeah.
it's that was just a separate. It wasn't what I was. It was just something I did, and I had that identity where I was a cop, I was an EMT, I was a soldier, I was an alderman, but I forgot about Steve.
Yeah.
So once I got rid of all that stuff, all that identity stuff, and I realized that I was me, and I was Sadie's dad, and Nick and Hannah's dad. That's what I am. I wasn't defined by what I saw and what I did.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest part for me to get.
Yeah, you're still a person. You're a great person who went through something. We can't define our challenges. We can't define ourselves by our challenges. They are our challenges, and they're outside of us.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also, so I mentioned earlier when we were speaking as well that my nickname is Gom because my last name is Gomula. So there are a lot of people out there who didn't even know my first name because in EMS and everything, you call people by your last name, but I was Gom. And the further I got into Gom, the less I got of Steve.
Oh yeah.
And after everything happened and I started, therapy and really doing the work they talked about, that I realized that I miss Steve and I got to find him again. And the kids need to see Steve more than Gom. They don't need to see the guy that's the goofball in the ambulance station. That's,
the character that you're playing. Yeah.
And that's really what it was. He was a character. And some friends, till I die, they'll call me Gom. But I like being Steve.
I like thinking about it too. Like I told you in the kitchen now, and we were talking about kid food because Sadie's here. And I feel like I'm just a big kid. I feel like we're all like, it's gonna sound so like just wacky, but I feel like we are all like little kids. We're just like children that need help.
I agree.
We all are.
We're just children that grew up, unfortunately.
Yeah, the years went by, but we're still those children. That's when we don't always know how to do it right, and we don't know how to always deal with it. But yeah, these symptoms, like you said, I think people who have questions, whether they're children, adults, if they feel like something's off, or I'm feeling like extra avoiding things or getting nightmares or whatever they're feeling, they should try to reach out to someone.
Exactly, and it's not always they say reach out to a medical provider. Yeah, that's great. You can make a phone call. Yeah. Hey, I need an appointment,
and we'll get you on a waiting list.
Yeah, well, that's one of the big problems. But reaching out to someone, one of your friends, is probably the lesser, the least harder avenue to go on because your friends you're friends with, and they know you. So if you can find a way somehow to talk to your friends, family, whoever, at least to get that ball rolling, and then maybe they can, help you get in touch with someone else. And, that's, I mentioned earlier that I hate the word stigma because the minute anything happens, it's almost like the old days when someone had diabetes. They'd be like, oh, I got the sugar.
Yeah, right.
Oh, you have PTSD. Yeah, PTSD. And I yell it loud and I'm proud. I'm not proud of some of the things I've done, but
we all have things we wish we didn't do. Exactly. Like nobody's perfect. If you're gonna sit here judge other people for what they did, I'd like to know what you did.
Absolutely. So it's hard to do that, but if you can just find a way to get past all of that shame and I found that the shame comes afterward. When I was on the city council and everything was coming out publicly, that was the hard part for me. And that's when I got the shame with going to the store and thinking everyone was looking at me. And every now and then I get that feeling, but then I shrug it off and I don't care. But
and even if they are, it's like
exactly.
Still,
I wouldn't judge someone like that.
We all know our truths, and people, no matter what it is, they're going to think things. So we all know as long as we know our truth. Like you said, that friend, just reaching out to that friend or that person, actually taking people up on their offer. You said if I need anything, I need something now.
Absolutely.
And if it's kids, teens, I always say too, if you talk to your parent, but if you don't want to or can't, a teacher,
and it's boss. A lot of times with kids, it's difficult to talk to your parents about anything because or sometimes they're too close. So speaking to a coach or a counselor or a teacher might be, or one of your classmates who's better friends with one of the adult, in school or something like that, if there's a way to get through. But I think if schools and districts and that type of thing, if they could start introducing mental health awareness early, like they do with anything else, I think that's a good way to start. Make a child healthy, because everyone should be in therapy. I don't care if
I think so too.
If you've seen trauma or not. I think it's a crazy world we live in.
Yeah.
And nothing like we grew up in. So it's even worse now.
Exactly.
So the things that these kids are having to deal with, if they could get that treatment, even just started.
Yeah.
Just knowing that it's okay to say, hey, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I don't feel well. My head's, not just because you have a cold or not just because you're sick. Mental health needs to be thrown right in with cardiology.
Exactly. I totally
cardiology
agree.
And endocrinology and mental health. There shouldn't be any difference.
You have a dentist, a doctor, a mental health provider.
Exactly.
And just a way to get things out. Like you said, writing it out was good for you. People, they have different ways. People like to get their feelings out by going to the gym or talking to someone or talking to a friend.
Exactly.
Everyone's got their way, and that's fine. Like people, like songwriters, they write songs and they sing about. I see people. I see people singing. Like, I wish I had a good voice. I want to sing about my life. Exactly. So it's we should utilize, because like you realize you have a reason to live and live your best life. Like you have your daughter and your friends, your family. People, no matter who you are, there's someone that needs you to be alive and well.
And it's hard to see that in the middle of the storm. That your brain is putting you through. But those demons, and they're all squeezing in. But I'm not saying everybody needs medication, but if you can find some way to push those things away in order to get some help, and then someone can help you keep those things away. I think that's the key, is to finding that kind of thing. In my world, whether it's EMS or police or fire, I'm encouraged to see a lot of academies are starting to incorporate mental health awareness into their police academies, fire academies, EMT schools. They need more of it.
Absolutely.
Because we're tough nuts to crack. We're the ones.
You're the protectors.
We're the tough guys. The protectors and all that stuff. But we're just regular people.
You're just people. You're kids.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Big kids sometimes. Most ambulance stations and firehouses or fraternity houses anyways. We're all just big kids. But there's some serious conversations that you have to have. And I think they start not, they shouldn't start in your therapist's office. They should start in the station. Guys and girls need to talk to each other. Whether it's a bad call, or even if it's, I have a few calls that stick with me, whether they're a few from the ER and a few from EMS and police work. But not everybody has those. Right. Could be something else. So and I don't have triggers, as I've mentioned, but some people do. So you have to figure out a way to work around those as well.
Yeah. No, do you have any other advice for working around those things, or things that you maybe didn't do yourself, but you feel like might help other people?
So for me, it's been just about 4 years since my incident. I isolated myself for the most part. I had to go through the mental health treatment core and everything else, but I isolated myself. I cut off a lot of friends. I cut out anything negative in my life. I pretty much kicked it out. I don't recommend that to everybody. Not everybody does well with isolation. But for me, it worked. However you work through something, lean into it. Whether it's a hobby, I recommend people get hobbies, especially if someone's going to become a first responder. I have a lot of people reach out and say, "Hey, I want to be an EMT. Should I do it?" Absolutely, but you better have some hobbies.
Have something on the side.
Exactly, because don't do 3 24-hour shifts in a row. Do a 24, do something fun, then maybe do another 24. Because more likely than not, we just do those 3 days straight. There were weeks where I would spend the whole weekend at 2 ambulance stations, and I wouldn't see my family because I was addicted to work. And that wasn't a very healthy way to do it. And I realize now that's what I was doing. So I definitely recommend, and it's not even in first responder world, but kids have a hobby.
And
not necessarily saying every kid should play a sport, But I think extracurricular activities are huge.
Yeah.
You know, they help you grow as a person, but they also keep your mind engaged and can keep it off the bad things, whether it's whatever is bothering. I mean, there's any number of things that could bother a kid.
Yeah.
Staying busy, you know, not to avoid it, but it can help you sometimes work through those problems as well.
Yeah, that's great. And also to see a different perspective and not just focus on something.
Exactly.
And realize there's other things and other life, and it's good for you doing things you enjoy, right?
Exactly. Well, that's, you know, if you hang around first responders, you go to a barbecue and it's all cops, they're going to talk police work.
Yeah.
And they're going to talk about their union, their retirement, and police work. Firefighters, pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
EMS, we talk about EMS calls.
Yeah, same with doctors and nurses.
Because I worked in the air. Find something away from those
Let's
things.
talk about something
else. There's more than the firehouse. There's more than the police station. There's more than the ER and the hospital. Go to a winery. Go to a vineyard. Go to a baseball game. Do something. Go to a concert. Just occupy your mind. And that goes for anyone. Just keeping your mind occupied, creative. You know, not everyone's a writer. Not everyone's a singer. But you can do something.
But everybody likes something. Like when I ask kids who aren't doing anything, well, what do you like? What do you like? They always end up coming up with something. Even some kids, they love to bake or cook.
Sure.
You know?
And, you know, some kids, video games. Okay, well, you want to learn how to code? You want to learn how to make video games?
Right,
kind of find a way to make something you like into something.
Yeah.
You know, not just something to do just to kill time. It can be something that maybe it's a career, maybe it's not, or maybe it's just a lifelong hobby. And I try and stress that. Folks who reach out to me now, whether they're an EMT or whatever, what do you do for fun?
Yeah.
What's fun? All I do is work. We'll stop that.
Something's got, because work is work. And,
exactly. And it's I mean, you know, I lived at the station, and I look back now and I feel guilty as heck. You know, my kids say, "Don't worry about it," but I missed out on a lot of things because of that, and I didn't have the addiction aspect of it, but the work was my addiction, and I kind of messed. Just as someone who's an addict, you know, they alienate their family doing those things. I alienated my family a lot by working too much, so other things happen as well.
Yeah, if we all look back, there's things that we could have done better, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but that's why we talk about it and we try to teach other people, or not teach or preach, but just share.
Yes, exactly.
So what do you keep yourself busy with now then?
I write a lot. I've always been a writer. I started off life, I wanted to be a news writer. I went to journalism school, and I had dreams of writing about the Yankees and the Giants, and that didn't happen. My first newspaper job was here in Amsterdam, a small paper that's out of business now. But I'll be a sports writer. Nope, no, right on the police beat.
Okay.
And my dad is a retired police officer from here in the city, so I grew up at the police station.
Wow.
So I blame it all on him. You know. So sorry, Dad.
It's okay. We gotta teasingly blame our dads for things.
Yes. But you know, it is his fault. You know, he'd come home wearing that leather jacket and a big hand cannon, and Chips was a big TV show back then. And I'm like, I need to be a cop.
Well, that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
Exactly. And then he was in the Army in Vietnam, and I was like, I'm going to be a soldier. So I didn't do any of that stuff. I ended up going to school for journalism, and I went in the Army afterward. But getting that police beat and got it into my head, and then, journalism went out the window, and now I want to be a cop. So that's when I took the test to get on the sheriff's office here in Montgomery County, and down that road, and then eventually became an EMT, and
So now we're just writing.
So I write a lot, and I've been writing my story, but I've actually been writing some children's stories for Sadie.
Okay.
And,
cool.
That's kind of my new session.
Oh, that's really awesome. You'll have to share some of them.
I will, once they're shareable, I will definitely. They're just kind of rough drafts, but we've been working on some stuff, her and I, and just spending more time, trying to get closer to my older kids, because I have two older children, and trying to connect with them. And my mom passed away last year, but my dad and stepmom are still here, so I'm getting back closer to them as well. And again, my dad's a retired police officer and vet, so he's been through a lot of the things I have. So I bounce a lot of things off of him, and that's he's always been my unofficial therapist.
Is he also learning things from you? I'm sure.
I think so. He hasn't said it, but I think he is.
Yeah.
You know, he's learning things. I think he sees things that happened to me that had happened to him also.
Yeah.
So I hope that he's, you know, we haven't talked about it too much, but I think he's learned a little bit.
Yeah, because their generation, they didn't really talk about this at all.
Exactly.
We're talking about it more, and then the next generation will hopefully.
And for me, I became a police officer in 1997, and I was at the tail end of that old crusty cop, and we don't talk about our problems, kid. And
yeah.
We never did.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember in the 6 years I was a police officer, I don't remember a single time anyone talking about anything.
Yeah.
My first call off of field training was a self-inflicted gunshot wound somebody had. And I went, and I had no idea what to do. A detective showed up, and they took care of it, and I had to go back on patrol and deal with it. And
Yeah.
that was normal.
Yeah.
You know, and some other things, but that's not normal.
Yeah.
Anyone involved in that call should be pulled aside after their shift or whatever, you know, like we do in healthcare, the critical incident stress debriefing and that type of thing. And I think they're doing it more now with police officers, but I was a 25-year-old kid who the only dead person I've ever seen were family members at funeral homes.
Yeah.
So to see that, it's kind of a shock. And then right back on patrol.
Kind of where kind of started years of that.
That's exactly where it started, and then it steamrolled, and I didn't really realize it until about 5 or 6 years ago.
No, exactly. I'm really glad. I mean, it's pretty impressive that you recognize something, you got help, and you're making change. A lot of people live their whole lives and nothing changes.
I wish I'd recognized sooner, but I didn't, so I can't think about that. But
no, just move forward and.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to do, and just live my best life for my kids.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So, any other words of wisdom or last things? Anything that I didn't mention that you wanted to mention?
My thing, if anyone were ever to take anything away from this, is build a life for yourself outside of work. If you're doing my kind of business, or maybe a doctor or a nurse or anything, especially if you're in the emergency side. But even up on the floors and everywhere else in a hospital, it's just as bad, just a little different. Get a life outside of that.
Yeah.
Because that life outside will save you on your life.
Right. And it's great that we do things that are like selfless and heroic, but in order to do it well and continue to also be a human being, it's good to have other things you do, pay attention to your
that's
loved
also
ones.
Brings you back to the compassion aspect of it. You know, I'll stick with healthcare and EMS. Towards the end, someone could have dropped down in front of me in Dunkin' Donuts when I'm off duty, and I'd have walked away because I'm not working.
You had nothing left in you.
Done. And now it'll be a little different, but and I felt guilty that I felt that way.
Yeah.
But you get so jaded, and especially in healthcare nowadays with just the way people, you know, the system itself, and it's when you get on the street and you're going in these homes, the same homes and the same people, and you know, now I realize with someone, you deal with someone a lot. We call them a frequent flyer. They were annoying to me. It was I hated getting woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go deal with a nonsense call, but there was a reason why this person was calling, aside from being sick or hurt. They were calling out for help as well.
Yeah.
And we're there for them. And a lot of times you get so defeated and so storm and everything takes over that you lose that compassion.
You can't give anymore. You can't give from an empty cup, they say, or pot.
Yes.
So you have to keep it flowing. You can't get too numb.
And one thing I've noticed about myself since that's happened, it's been 4 years since my incident, my compassion's come back.
Yeah.
You know, whether someone is just an old bum on the street or they're whatever, I look at them differently now. Before it used to be almost contempt.
Yeah.
And now it's, why are you like that?
Yeah.
It's more of an analytical thing. Like not so much that I feel bad for someone, but it's, what did you go through that led you to this, whether they're homeless or they're an addict, and I look back on some things I would see in the ER when someone would come in and be a out of control patient. Well, you didn't wake up this morning and say, I'm just going to be an out of control guy.
Right.
You know? So that's something that domino effect kind of thing.
That's so great. So nice to, yeah, it's so great to like think about people that way. And I mean, this chapter in your life seems like a new chapter and a
It
great
really
chapter.
is. I feel like I have a whole, I joke around. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be 53. And
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm going to live 48 years. That means I'll be 100, and I'm going to die on the day after my 100th birthday.
Yeah.
So I have 48 more years. So 100 years and 1 day old. So I have 48 more years. That's a lot of life to live.
Right. No, it is. Exactly. Every year can. It's true. People, you never know how long you're going to live and what's going to happen. So as long as we're here, just keep doing.
Exactly. And it's make the best of it while you're here.
Yeah.
Now I'm learning from my mistakes of the past and my previous life where it's like, okay, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
I look back now, and as I said, I was isolated a lot. I did a lot of thinking and writing, and I don't like the guy I was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the guy I was back then. Some things were, it was fun. I had a lot of fun, but I also don't like a lot of the things I did.
Yeah. Well,
so it's.
We do live and learn, right?
Absolutely. Some people don't. I try
to. Yeah. Exactly. Try to. It's not easy, but you're making these amazing efforts. And
thank you. I'm trying. Yeah. My goal is I would like to eventually start a nonprofit of some sort to help EMS, folks in EMS. There's different organizations, police, I believe it's the state police have it. The acronym is NILEAP, and that's a mental health focus organization. A lot of fire department, the fire department unions have them, but there isn't much out there for EMS. So my goal is to get a few old timers like myself and I together to put something together, and maybe, I don't know what it's going to be yet, but some sort of support system for EMS. We've been there, we know what it's like, and there's a whole generation of kids coming up through that are starting over, and I don't want them to be in the cemetery with a shotgun.
Yeah.
I want them to call me or call their partner or call their boss.
Someone to call.
And the same thing with, I would like to get into, also speak with kids and just not it's a cautionary tale. Not say don't be an EMT, but if you're going to. Right.
Well, it's good to know all this so you can go in with the right perspective and know.
Well, everybody thinks, I want to be an EMT. I want to be a cop. I want to be a firefighter. Yeah. Okay. This is you're going to put that fire out. You're going to catch that bad guy. You're going to help that baby get delivered. But let me tell you some bad things. And the bad things are meant to scare you, but how you're going to deal with those bad things are what you're going to need.
To be prepared.
Exactly. Because, again, that guy that took his own life my first day as a police officer, that stuck with me. Yeah, for a long years later.
And we do kind of glamorize everything, but we need to know, kids need to know the other part of it.
Exactly.
Like you said, not to scare them, but to prepare them so they do continue having activities that they can take with them lifelong when they're going to do these professions.
Exactly. And it's all you can hope for.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good to, if you are feeling any sort of way, whether it's trauma, anxiety, to have these connections, these support systems, and people that validate you. You don't need to have people around you. Like you said, you got rid of a lot of the excess.
Exactly, the negative influence, the negative energy, if people are into energy and that kind of thing. You can sit. I think people can take a step back and look at the people in their lives and realize who should be there and who should. A lot of folks, we keep people in our lives that are comfortable to us, but they're not necessarily the right type of person.
Serving us, as they say.
So trying to, again, it's realizing a lot of things about yourself. And then when you hear, people, they say, do the work. Well, that's the work, is just sitting there looking back and thinking. I mean, there's a lot of nights where I didn't sleep just thinking about things I've done in my life. And I went pretty far back and done a lot of things over in my mind. And for me, that kind of helped me deal with a lot of things. But it held me back a little bit because it took me a while to get over the guilt, the bad things, as I mentioned. I cheated. I, did a lot of other things. And once you get past that guilt part of it, and that helps as well. But it's not easy.
It's a process.
It is.
And a support system is a great idea. And resources, which, like I said, I'll get resources
Yes.
from you, I'll throw them on my website, and that way people can have
Absolutely.
take away. So, all right. Well, appreciate your time. This has been
Thank you
great.
for having me.
Yeah, your story's so great.
Hey,
And
Sadie, come here.
yes, we have our special. It wouldn't be a true
This is my
episode.
publicist.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Remember that?
No, Sadie. This is Sadie. So she's Steve's daughter and publicist and wing girl and
Yeah, she's a little
BFF.
bit of everything.
Yeah.
But she's the reason why I'm doing everything to help everybody.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. Are you daddy's little girl? That's awesome. Having a
thank you for
dad
having
is
us.
the best friend. My pleasure. And thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Sadie, for being here. My dad was my best friend too. I totally understand that. And you love him, huh? And you're so glad he's happy and healthy with you, right? Yep, exactly. Well, thanks so much, guys.